Welcome into the Nike Hot Seat. I'm Emily Eman, chatting with our Nike volleyball athletes across the world to highlight the people and personalities that make this sport so great. And I am so excited to be joined by Dani Drews, who currently plays for Cuneo Grande in Italy. Before that, was a four-time All-American and the career kills leader at the University of Utah. Dani, I kind of want to go all the way back here. I know you grew up in a house of completely just powerhouse athletes. Your mom played volleyball and basketball at Utah. Your dad played football and baseball, and then your two brothers right now currently play in the NFL. I'm wondering what impact did that have on you growing up in such a sports-centric home?
Yeah, I mean, you covered it. Athletics has been a huge theme in my family. And I think for me, it just raised me to be a competitor.
Yeah.
Um, I think some of my earliest memories just with my brothers have always been things that have kind of circulated around sports, whether I was at their basketball practice or we're shooting hoops in the front yard together or running around a football field chasing each other. So it's definitely had a huge impact on just the athlete that I have become.
How competitive were you with your brothers growing up?
Very competitive. I always wanted to keep up with them, be the fastest, do whatever they were doing. And it's something I'm really grateful for because in a lot of ways, I think that they pushed me to always just try my hardest and work my hardest.
How often do you get to watch any of their games? Are you able to at all overseas?
Me and my husband have stayed up pretty late on multiple occasions watching their games. I usually fall asleep, but we've been able to, with like the NFL pass, be able to watch some games online and try and support them the best we can, regardless of the time changes.
When your mom was a volleyball player back in the day, did either of your parents ever coach you growing up?
Yeah, I would consider both of them like my earliest coaches. My mom coached me in volleyball when I first got into it, and I guess like even if they weren't my official coach, I felt like they were always giving me the laydown on my performance, on what I did well, what I can improve. And I think even now, like their opinions, they're always, yeah, giving me some advice on what I can do better or building me up, telling me what I'm doing a good job with. So it's nice.
After games, do you ask for feedback or do they just kind of tell you?
No, they'll definitely tell me. I think especially after a game, maybe I feel like I didn't play my best. I'm not wanting to hear it, but um they're more than willing to share.
What do
But
you
it's
feel like,
obviously been a good thing.
yeah. What do you feel like was the most important thing that you learned from your parents as it relates to sports?
I think they really taught me that the hay is never in the barn, that I can always improve in little or big areas, and that there's, I guess, just always something you can get better at.
Well, last year after that college career ended, you ended up playing a few weeks overseas in Poland, but I know you told me that was kind of right when the Ukraine conflict started. So you ended up coming back, playing a season for Athletes Unlimited. I remember you told me that you came in with no expectations, but then you, of course, absolutely crushed it, finishing third on the leaderboard as a rookie. What did that do for your confidence as a volleyball player at the next level?
For me, I just think I was surrounded by amazing people in that league. I mean, really, like, hats off to them. They created such a cool culture and environment there. And I was able to play with a lot of experienced players who gave me so much feedback and tips. And I felt like they believed in me. And I was like, whoa, like, okay, they think I'm kind of good. Like, that's so cool. And I remember just, I felt so much joy throughout that whole experience. And it wasn't even so much confidence, but it was just like, oh, yeah, I love playing this game. Like, it was just a really good reminder of that.
Was there any player that you played with there that kind of took you under their wing and showed you the ropes of everything?
Yes, the first person who comes to mind is Nati. Valentine Anderson. I felt like right away me and her just had a special connection. And she, I think, is just an amazing player who plays with so much heart and passion. And she's just fun to play with. but then also Cassidy Lickman, she's just incredible. She's so smart and so experienced and so good too. And she was one player I really looked up to that whole time. She was always willing to just help give me feedback and checking in on how I was doing. And yeah, it was a really cool experience to get to play with them.
Yeah, Cass is definitely someone that I think everyone naturally gravitates toward of. She's obviously such an incredible volleyball player, but I mean, even more than that, just awesome person, so great for the sport. I'm wondering now that you're back overseas this season playing in Italy, how is your experience different than maybe the first time around?
I would say the biggest difference is this time I have my husband with me and my dogs with me, which I know is unique compared to a lot of other players. But for me, that just makes me feel a lot more at home, even though I'm far away from home. Um, and then also just I think I'm a little bit, I know what to expect this time around. Because playing professional in college, like I feel like it's a pretty big step up, the level of play, and it's not the same like yeah, go team feeling. It's like everyone's there to do their job and it's not about relationships so much per se. But I will say, like, my team here has been amazing. The women on my team are all awesome and they've been so welcoming, and I've been able to get close with a lot of them.
Well, yeah, you've been there for, a few months now. What's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself?
Hmm. I'd say the biggest thing I've really learned is that um, I still have a lot to improve volleyball wise. And for me, it's exciting because I'm just realizing, like, okay, college was one thing, AU was one thing, and now, like, it's time to continue working harder and stepping it up. And especially the mental side of the game, just playing smarter and reading situations better. And yeah, I think it's cool to see that area that I can improve in.
Definitely. I'm guessing you've had a little bit of time to travel on your downtime. I'm wondering, what's your favorite place or town in Italy that you visited?
So this is gonna sound so lame because I'm like such a routine person, but I honestly love the city that I live in. I live in Cuneo or Cuneo, and it's like a mountain town and it's a little bit smaller, but I love it. I go to the mountains and hike my dogs every day. And so honestly, on my off days, like I really haven't traveled around and I just feel so lucky to live in such a cool area. I feel like this is really a special city and the people here are amazing. And yeah, I haven't traveled around too much because I'm kind of more like a homebody, but I feel so lucky to live in such a cool area here.
So if someone came out to visit you, what are two or three things that you would have to do with them or places that you have to take them?
So my mom came out with me in November, and the first place I really wanted to take her was this like super sick hiking spot that I've found. It's in the mountains, and even right now it's still pretty snowy. So for me, it's so beautiful and it reminds me a lot of Utah. So I took her there, and then I also took her to this pizza joint called Fra Diavolo. Um, when I first moved here, I was in a different apartment and it was right above this place. And it was so hard to not eat there every single night because it's such good pizza. So I was really excited to take her there.
Well, you definitely have to try all the cuisine there. What's your favorite Italian food?
I would say the pizza here, which is weird because I don't really like pizza like back home. I'm not much of a pizza girl, but here the pizza's so good. And I think it's because the crust is just like this amazing bread.
Dani, I'm wondering from kind of the time that you started playing volleyball to now, I mean, where have you really seen this sport grow?
I'd say the biggest area I've noticed is I feel like clubs are getting way bigger. Like for youth. Because I remember when I was first starting to play club volleyball, there was like two options in my area. And now I just feel like even though maybe there's not as many options, like way more girls are starting to play club volleyball way earlier, which is cool. But then also I would say even just I feel like in the past year, it's been really cool to see like the volleyball movement kind of grow and take off in the US. I mean, now we have AU, we have PVF, or
Mhm.
I don't know and then love volleyball. Like all of those are starting to kind of come, and I'm really curious to see how those take off. And I feel like there's been more recognition and awareness with like fans in the US being like, oh yeah, women's volleyball is actually super cool. And like our women in the US are really good at it, you know? So I'm excited to see how that changes and continues to grow in the future. And I hope more people can get on board and just recognize like what an amazing sport it is and how fun it is to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, yeah, AU, PVF, and now LOVB. I mean, thinking back to when you were growing up, if you saw some of these leagues starting in the US, what would younger Dani have maybe thought differently about the sport, or maybe your goals and aspirations, would those have changed?
I don't know if they so much would have changed, but I just feel like when I grew up, like I didn't really know playing professional volleyball was like a real option, I guess, like for a career. I thought it was, I don't even know what I thought. I just was like, oh, people play and then somehow they get on the USA team or
Yeah.
but I think it'd be so cool to go back and like be, I don't know, just starting off playing now and seeing, oh wow, like I can make this a career and like I can do what I love. And like I see my brothers, they get to do what they love, which is football for their job. And I feel like it's really cool for girls to be able to grow up thinking that about volleyball too.
Yeah, it's definitely different. When you think of the NBA or the NFL, you have, 3-year-old boys growing up saying, "Oh, that's my goal in life." And now that you have so many different opportunities coming up the next few years of pro volleyball in the US, maybe those younger girls can think of it in that way and not just, "Oh, I want to play in college," and then, things are done. They don't even know they can go overseas, similar to how you were saying.
Yeah, I especially agree with you just because even up until I got into college, like I had no idea what the process was like to play professional volleyball. And I think a lot of people have no idea. There's so many questions I get asked about it all the time. So yeah, for it to be something that isn't like a huge question mark for young girls, but to be like, no, like look, there's this path that like is very clear and it's a great option. Yeah, I think that's a super cool opportunity.
Last thing, I'll leave you with this. Thinking of all those younger players that are coming up that maybe want to follow in your footsteps or do something similar, play volleyball at the next level, or even just play in college, what would your best piece of advice be for them?
I would say have patience,
Mm.
but also confidence and know that when you focus on what you can control and you work hard at what you can control and you put in the time and the effort, um, your opportunity is going to come. And
Yeah.
I just think sometimes it's easy, like, say if you're younger and you get cut from like the A team, or I don't know what they call it in club anymore. And it can be really easy to feel discouraged or bad about yourself. But I think like look at challenges as opportunities to grow from that and work harder and just continue believing in yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's also applicable across the board, whether it's, a job interview or something like that you're going for. If one door closes, another one's going to open. And, luck is where hard work meets opportunity. So, Dani, I absolutely love that. And thinking of all the girls that I know have followed you for so long and potentially would want to follow in your footsteps. That is awesome advice. And you are the absolute best. Thank you so, so much for joining me today. I've loved watching your career grow and seeing you just absolutely crush it at the next level. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. It was so nice to chat with you. And yeah, thanks for having me on this interview.